All right, Andy Broadway here, and I'm here with Richard Hollowell, and this is a continuing interview. And what we've done with this is we broke all the interview questions down to specific questions. So in a prior interview, we asked about, loan modifications. We talked about covenant. And this particular question is, Richard, are there differences in how banks and CMBS lenders and private lenders consider a problem loan situation?
Well, that's a question that I get frequently because 25 years ago, it wasn't just banks that were making real estate related loans. You had the securitization process rear its head, and that has been a real source of money for real estate borrowers. And those are securitized transactions, but they are individual real estate loans, just like a bank would make. And then, of course, you've got private money lenders, which sometimes might be called hard money lenders. And the question I get is, here's my type of lender. How do they react to a problem that I've got? For starters, banks normally have an internal staff to analyze a problem loan and to try to come out with a workout solution with you. On the CMBS side, your loan is serviced by a so-called master servicer, which basically collects payments. But if you have a default that lasts for 60 days, it is transferred to a special servicing agency. And I ran a special servicer back in the 1990s and was head of that particular company. So in these special servicing companies are experts that do nothing but work on troubled loans. They have a rule book there, much like a bank would have a rule book on how they're going to try to react to a default situation. And then you have hard money lenders, and that's a little more of the Wild West there because folks don't have a good track record usually dealing with a workout situation with a hard money lender. So we'll go through each of them for a second or two. With a bank, I previously talked about befriending that lender as soon as you know you have a problem. And it might be the loan underwriter that helped make the loan, or it might have been transferred into a so-called special assets unit. And that underwriter will usually help you make a transition in the relationship to the special assets individual. And I've been a special assets officer of banks. And in essence, we were special assets officers on an outsourced basis for the FDIC and the RTC during the savings and loan crisis. So we had a playbook as to how to react to different types of requests. On the CMBS side, it's interesting that that industry has consolidated somewhat to a half a dozen major special servicers. And I saw that the industry actually issued a CMBS forbearance and loan modification set of guidelines just last week, which kind of is a published rule book of how they'll be looking at you when you walk in the door or when you give them a call saying, look, I've got a problem. Hard lenders or private money lenders, you better work off of the relationship you've got. Be transparent up front and explain what your strategy is to work out of a situation. But as a baseline, each and every one of those types of lenders does have a similar playbook. One thing that they're going to try to do is to make sure that on some kind of basis, you continue to make payments. You continue not only and maybe it's just an interest payment, but you've got to keep the taxes current, which is obviously something that primes the mortgage if you don't pay your real estate taxes. So they all look to what kind of investment can you make when your cash flow is down to keep me as a lender current. And the other thing they're going to ask for is really a comprehensive business plan or analysis of where you're at, where you're going, where you think your finances are going to be 6 months down the road in the event they go ahead and grant you a forbearance or possibly a loan modification. So the fact that they all work from the same playbook as it relates to trying to get you to pay on a continuous basis. And they all want your strategy because remember, you're the property owner. You're not the bank. They don't operate properties. You're the one that has to come up with a doable, believable plan to go to that lender with.
And it sounds like this is something that your team is not only trained with, but also has 50 plus years of experience and combined probably 175 years of experience in putting these very specific plans together to, I go back to, I've heard you say the word playbook. I've been writing this down while we were taking notes here, that you essentially play with the rules that are in the playbook and talk their language and be with open communication. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And there are idiosyncrasies in the terms of each type of loan, remembering that banks normally ask for a personal guarantee of the principal of the borrowing entity. That sheds a whole new set of light on how they try to collect because they could come after you personally. So we address that particular issue. In addition, on the CMBS side, most of those loans are non-recourse. So although CMBS special servicers will want an injection of money, you as the borrower have to assess whether or not it's worth putting more money into that deal to bridge it to a better cash flow and a better value. So we help folks analyze that. And of course, on the private money lender, we try to rely on the personal relationship that was developed between the borrower and his lender to get in front of them, lay out a strategy that we believe, in addition to what the borrower believes, is doable and workable on the medium-term basis.
Well, that's great to know. So how do we get more information regarding working with you and your team? What's the kind of the first steps that we need to take? And then let's wrap up this interview.
Yeah, the way to get in touch with us is to go to richardhollowell.com and put a short story about your situation in there. We'll get one of our consultants, our senior consultants, or myself to contact you to go through your situation to see if we believe that we can help or add something to your equation. richardhollowell.com.